Hey everybody, it's Jay. Welcome to the channel. In this video, I'm going to do something a little different. I want to talk about creating unique images in a very well photographed location. In this case, New York City. So I have lived and worked in and around New York for more than 35 years, and I have taken thousands, maybe tens of thousands of photos. And it's a fantastic place to shoot. Of course, if you're here, if you're visiting here, you're going to go to the typical locations. And these are places that I still go to. But for example, you'll shoot the skyline, great spots in New Jersey, in Brooklyn. You'll probably go to Central Park and shoot the mall, especially in the autumn where the colors are great. There's some great bridges in Central Park. Fantastic location. You may make it up to Top of the Rock. Fantastic views up there of the city. Hopefully you get there at a good hour. And I've been there a bunch of times. You'll probably photograph some just classic locations. St. Patrick's Cathedral, beautiful, beautiful building. The Chrysler Building, fantastic. I've done that gazillion times. You probably head down to the Flatiron Building, classic New York spot. The Guggenheim Museum is a beautiful, beautiful building. You might go down to the Oculus, which is a transportation hub downtown. Certainly you're going to photograph Grand Central. And again, all these locations are great, but you're going to get shots that other photographers clearly have gotten. You start looking online, you realize there's probably better images of these spots than you took. So I always challenge myself to say, how can I create some unique images in New York City? And a lot of it has to do with, I guess, a couple things. One, moving away from the classic locations. Get out of Midtown Manhattan and find other locations. Sometimes it's shooting at a different time of year than most people shoot. Different time of day, different weather, different exposure length. Long exposure can create unique images. So I'm going to give you a bunch of examples of shots that I took that are somewhat unique, and it's because of these things I just mentioned. Let's take Grand Central. So I put up a shot, I'll put it up again, of your typical shot from Grand Central Terminal. So every time I go into Grand Central, without fail, there is someone with a camera or a phone taking an image from this exact spot. And it's really cool, it highlights the building well, but I want to do something different. So how about going there at 4 in the morning on a Sunday morning when there is literally no one there. And I got this shot, that's the uniqueness is it's empty, right? You never see an empty Grand Central Terminal. Also, if you get there at the right time of year, at the right hour, for example, in mid-February, if you go there between about 7:30 and 8:30 in the morning, you get this fantastic light that streams into the building. And I got these shots that just added so much drama to the building itself. Also, try to use a somewhat different shutter speed. So this was a somewhat slower shutter speed, and I zoomed in and I really captured the movement and that dance that occurs with all the pedestrians that are traveling through Grand Central. If you get outside, there's great shots of Grand Central. Here's a shot I took that's from a kind of a unique perspective. This is actually along Park Avenue, which wraps around Grand Central Terminal. And I got there by going through the Grand Hyatt Hotel, used a long exposure, but I captured a really interesting part of that place in the city that most people are not shooting from this location. Central Park, another well-photographed spot. I showed you some of those photos before, those classic locations. But what if you go there early on a Sunday morning after a rainstorm where it's foggy and you get this kind of shot? This is a classic location, it's Bethesda Terrace, but you don't really see it lit up like this in a foggy night. So it ends up being pretty cool. Go there during a snowstorm where I went. The problem you have is so many people are walking through there that snow will look very quickly not very pristine and be brown and gross, but I got this one just as the snow was coming down really heavy, and I got that lone walker taking a walk down the mall. Times Square is another location. Like everyone photographs in Times Square. By the way, I struggle to get good photos in Times Square. But if you go there at night, during the rain or after a rainstorm, the place has a different feel to it. So here's kind of a longish exposure capturing some of the movement and the lights of Times Square that I kind of like, and again, a little different than what others are shooting. Here's another rainy night in Times Square, and I just like the way this image kind of captured a pretty cool mood. So another incredibly well photographed location is Rockefeller Center, right in the middle of Manhattan. This is a shot I took which ended up being a little different than the typical shot. Long exposure. This is the skating rink in the winter, but I got that motion of the people, which again I thought was kind of cool. Now, the skyline is tough, right? There's great locations that I still go to, but there are other places where you get a somewhat different perspective. By the way, if you want normal places to shoot the skyline, go to the video. I'll put a link down below of 6 great places to shoot the Manhattan skyline. A video I did a couple years ago. But here's a shot I took from Breezy Point, Queens. And again, not your typical skyline shot. There's some foreground interest. It's just kind of cool. Here's another shot I took from Queens. This one's going to cost you some money because this is taken at the top of Arthur Ashe Stadium at the U.S. Tennis Center during the U.S. Open. But you have this awesome sunrise or sunset right behind the city from the top of that stadium with a long lens. Great shot, but again, you got to buy a ticket to get there. Here's a shot also in Queens. This is at a subway station in Queens, and that I think is Queens Boulevard heading towards the city. But again, using long exposure, not being right on the water, you get the motion of the city with the skyline in the background. Pretty cool shot. Now with the bridges, I mean, you're going to get your classic shot like this of the Brooklyn Bridge from Brooklyn. Beautiful shot, and I would definitely take the shot again, right? But you want to do something different. Sometimes getting underneath some of these bridges yields something that's a little bit interesting and artistic. So here's a shot of the Brooklyn Bridge from Manhattan, and you can sort of see the converging exit and entrance ramps to the bridge, and you get that texture of the underside of the bridge, which is kind of cool. This is a shot of the Manhattan Bridge from Brooklyn on a foggy morning, foggy, wet morning. So I got this great mood, but again, I'm underneath the bridge. It's a beautiful bridge, but it's kind of cool from this angle too. Here's another one. This is the Williamsburg Bridge from the Manhattan side. Got there early, cool sunrise behind it. Just happened to get this runner coming through, but again, somewhat unique. And don't always go for the classic Brooklyn Bridge, Manhattan Bridge. This is a bridge, the first one you see is the Hell's Gate Bridge. And this shot's taken from Astoria, Queens. I had to kind of climb down some rocks to get close to the water, but you get the Hell's Gate Bridge, which is a cool bridge, great color. You get the RFK Bridge in the background, and then the city behind that. And I got a cool long exposure, so I got that cloud movement as well. This is the George Washington Bridge from a park. I should have figured out what the park was. A park in New Jersey, in Fort Lee, New Jersey. I'll put a link of that location down below. But again, a somewhat different location. This is a good shot to get in winter because there are trees around there that block the view. But with the leaves off the trees, you kind of get this cleanish type of shot of the bridge. You know, downtown Manhattan is really different than Midtown. The streets are narrow, they're not in a grid, they kind of meander, and I've got some really good shots downtown. The nice thing too is that since the streets are narrow, if you look up, the buildings really do converge. This is a shot I took on Water Street and Governor Street on a quiet morning, so I was able to stand right in the middle of the intersection for 30 seconds and got this cool long exposure. Here's another shot. This was on the corner of Beaver and Pearl Street. Just really interesting buildings. Again, since things are so tight, you get this convergence of the buildings up towards the sky, which I think makes it, again, somewhat unique. Speaking of looking up, this is the inside of the Guggenheim Museum. Love this shot. Everyone that goes in there takes this shot. You can look up, and you can also go to the top and look down. And you can see it's really cool. But again, everyone does it. But also in the Guggenheim Museum, there is a triangular staircase, which is pretty interesting that most people don't photograph. So I've kind of gone over there and explored that area a little bit and created this image. And there's some other great staircases in New York that generally are not well photographed. This is a staircase in the Armani store on Fifth Avenue. It is just spectacular, the way the light hits it, the shapes, the contrast. This is a really fun one. I think that's on 53rd Street. Look it up, Armani store on Fifth Avenue. This is not quite a staircase, but it is a great angle to look up in a building in New York. This is the Beekman Hotel. It's all the way down on Nassau Street in Manhattan. Beautiful building. They don't really want you to have cameras there, so I would just look around, sneak your shot, and then get out of there. But it's a really beautiful building. Sticking with the theme of looking up, this is the Gilder Center. It's part of the American Museum of Natural History. It's in the back of the museum on Columbus Avenue. Really new building, which means it has not been photographed to death. But it's a really cool building. Bring your wide lens to try to capture as much of it as you can. In addition, shoot it from the outside too. This is a shot I took from just outside the building, again on the Columbus Avenue side, and you see the uniqueness of this building. I imagine in a couple years everyone will have photographed this building, but so far not everyone has discovered it. And I am always on the hunt for new buildings to photograph, stuff I haven't done before. This is a shot of a building. It's 7 Bryant Park, and it's called the Bank of China building, but it's right on 40th Street and 6th Avenue. I used to work right there, so I was able to photograph it a bunch of times. But again, kind of a cool building that not everyone shoots. If you head to the northern part of Manhattan, this is a really cool building. It's the Vagelos Center. It's part of Columbia Medical School. I think it's 168th Street. Really cool architecture. Very hard to find places to park. I'd take the subway up there, but just a really cool shot. This is taken from the south, so during the day the light hits it pretty well. On 125th Street, this is the Cotton Club building. It's right by the West Side Highway. Kind of a classic New York place that most people really don't get up that far. It's not as easy to get to. It's not on your typical list of things to photograph, but again, I love photographing this spot. It's also a good idea just to get out of Manhattan. So here's a shot I took at Jacob Riis Park. This is in Queens. It's a huge beach in Queens. It's an old bathhouse that is fantastic, that I've shot. Great texture and great drama there. And I've actually gone to JFK Airport just to do photography. No one drives to the airport to photograph, but there is a great building there. It's the old TWA terminal. It's now a hotel. I got these shots by going up on a parking garage across the street from the terminal. Security generally doesn't like you up there with a tripod, so just be careful. But it's a great vantage point to shoot this building. And by the way, if you're there, make sure you go across the street, photograph the building itself, which is really cool, and the inside's really amazing as well. I am always on the hunt for interesting things to shoot in New York. So this is actually a salt shed. They keep salt in there for salting the roads during the winter, but they put some thought into the design and into the lighting. So go there at night and you get this really cool shot. This is, I believe, on Spring Street on the West Side Highway. Really cool little structure. You know, whenever I'm walking around New York, I always have an eye up towards the buildings, and I found this. This is an old condo. It's called, I think, the Corinthian condo. It's on the far east side of Manhattan, around 40th Street. But I just love the shape of the building. So I went there on a Sunday morning, got some good cloud movement. And right around the corner is the Copper Building, which is relatively new. Again, not that well photographed. This is a shot I got same morning as I shot the Corinthian. So it was pretty cool. I literally could go on and on. I'm going to end it here, but just to give you a sense of things that I've done to try to create some uniqueness in my images when photographing in and around New York. If you do have any questions about these locations, just put a comment in. I'll be happy to provide any more information I can on these locations and kind of how I was able to create these images. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up. It helps the channel. And if you like this kind of content, architecture, studio work, landscape, Photoshop tutorials. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future videos. And until next time.